Ethan Brooks noticed wasn't the blood. It was the smile. As flashing lights painted the walls of the luxury apartment, Alexandra Monroe calmly stirred sugar into her coffee while paramedics carried her fiancé's body past the front door. She looked at the detective and quietly asked, "Am I free to leave now?" Most people begged for answers. Alexandra wanted permission to disappear. Detective Brooks didn't answer. Instead, he asked a simple question. "Who cleaned the kitchen?" For the first time that morning, her smile faded. 3 hours earlier, neighbors reported hearing a violent argument between Alexandra and her fiancé, Daniel Carter. By the time officers arrived, Daniel was dead from a single stab wound. Everything looked almost too perfect. No signs of forced entry. No fingerprints except Alexandra's. No murder weapon. And security cameras around the building had mysteriously stopped recording just 20 minutes before Daniel died. Alexandra insisted someone had broken in. "It wasn't me," she repeated. "I came downstairs and found him." Her story sounded believable, almost rehearsed. Detective Brooks had investigated enough homicide cases to know that lies usually hide inside tiny details. Alexandra claimed she'd never entered the kitchen after discovering Daniel. Yet the dishwasher was still warm. Inside were 2 freshly washed wine glasses. Someone had been cleaning. When confronted, Alexandra smiled again. "I always wash dishes before I panic." It was such an absurd answer that even the younger detectives laughed. Brooks didn't, because people who lie often explain too much. The investigation suddenly took an unexpected turn. Daniel's younger brother arrived at the station, carrying a sealed envelope. "If anything happens to me," Daniel had written weeks earlier, "give this to the police." Inside was a handwritten letter. Daniel believed someone was trying to ruin him financially. Bank accounts had been emptied. Insurance policies had been changed. And every document pointed toward one person, Alexandra. Suddenly, the murder looked less like a crime of passion and more like a carefully planned investment. Police searched Alexandra's financial records. Nothing unusual. No hidden accounts. No suspicious transfers. She looked completely innocent, until Detective Brooks asked an old forensic accountant to review one overlooked detail: gift cards. Over 18 months, Alexandra had quietly purchased thousands of dollars in prepaid cards using different stores across 3 states. The cards were converted into cryptocurrency through anonymous exchanges. Money that investigators initially believed had vanished had simply changed shape. The motive became crystal clear, but they still couldn't prove murder. Then came the twist no one expected. Daniel wasn't the only man connected to Alexandra. Investigators uncovered 2 previous relationships. Both ended suddenly. Both partners had rewritten life insurance policies naming Alexandra as beneficiary. One had died in what authorities ruled an accidental boating incident. The other survived a suspicious house fire. Neither case had ever been connected. Until now. Brooks realized he wasn't chasing someone who lost control. He might be chasing someone who had learned from every mistake. Confident she was untouchable, Alexandra agreed to another interview. She corrected detectives. She challenged timelines. She even pointed out mistakes in their crime scene photographs. She believed she was controlling the conversation. She didn't realize Detective Brooks had already stopped asking questions to learn the truth. Now he was asking questions to measure her confidence. Every correction she made proved she knew details that had never been released publicly, like the exact position of the knife and the direction Daniel had fallen. Information only the killer should know. Still, Alexandra refused to confess. "There is no evidence," she said. Brooks quietly nodded. "You're right." She smiled. Then he slid a tablet across the table. It wasn't security footage. It was something much worse. A smart home backup. Although the building cameras failed, Daniel's voice-controlled speaker had uploaded encrypted activity logs to a cloud server. The system recorded every command, every door opening, every light switching on, every movement detected by connected sensors. The timeline destroyed Alexandra's alibi. She hadn't discovered Daniel after coming downstairs. She had never gone upstairs at all. She remained in the kitchen for 14 uninterrupted minutes after the fatal attack. Long enough to clean. Long enough to hide the knife. Long enough to believe she'd erased history. Technology had remembered what she forgot. Faced with the evidence, Alexandra leaned back in her chair. For nearly a minute, she said nothing. Detectives expected tears. Instead, she laughed softly. "I almost got away with it." Those were the last voluntary words she spoke before asking for a lawyer. Months later, prosecutors presented the digital evidence, financial records, and inconsistencies in Alexandra's own statements. Together, they painted the picture of someone who believed intelligence alone could outplay an investigation. The jury returned a guilty verdict. Detective Brooks later reflected that the case wasn't solved because the killer made one dramatic mistake. It was solved because she made dozens of tiny ones, each seemingly harmless, each revealing a little more than she intended. Sometimes the most dangerous trap isn't set by detectives. It's the one a manipulator builds for themselves, believing no one else can see it.